No, you don't have to follow them back. But I kind of think about it in two ways. One is if it is someone that I want to collaborate with, like let's say it's a vendor that follows you, I would totally follow them back. That feels very aligned. But sometimes you'll get random followers and it just wouldn't make sense for you to follow back. So it's not like the etiquette of Instagram, like, oh, you have to follow. In fact, sometimes when I do Instagram audits, I'll look and see how many people are following you and how many people are that you're following. And if it's super disproportionate where you're following like thousands of people and you have like 200 followers, I'm gonna tell you to try to unfollow actually some of those accounts. So I'm very selective with who I follow and who I don't, but don't feel like you have to. But you can definitely use it as a collaboration tool of like supporting each other with clients or customers, or when I run my business account, I'm thinking about it from a business lens. So I'm just really strategic about who I follow and who I don't. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Do you want to ask another one?
It's related to this one. Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
great.
So there is a strategy that I heard. People follow you. If they see you have a lot of followers, they start following you, and then you're like, oh, I like this person, and you follow them back. And then they only use you to make followers, and then they unfollow you. You know what I mean? How? Because that's what's put up there as a strategy. Start following people, and if they don't, and then you unfollow them. You know what I mean?
You're saying like when they're following you temporarily, and then they hope that you'll reciprocate that.
Yes,
and then
when
they
follow
immediately
you,
unfollow you.
Not immediately, they wait a
But
little
soon
bit and
after.
then they don't follow you. And it happens a lot with the accounts that have a lot of followers. That's like
Yeah.
what's your intake on that? And I want to hear, yeah.
So they're using your account to find people.
To have followers, and then they will unfollow you.
I would say don't worry about it in some ways. So to what Elizabeth said, I would only follow someone back if I was genuinely interested. Sometimes I don't follow people back, it just depends. So if someone follows you, there's no obligation. But if they want to follow you and then unfollow you, let them. Because if they're not interested in what you do, you don't, like the follower number is actually pointless. And you don't want to mess up your algorithm by having all sorts of people following. So there's some people who have a lot of following, but if you start going and looking, they may have loads of followers from India or something that's completely irrelevant to their brand. And actually that dilutes your message, that dilutes what you do. So really you only want people following you that are in your market, that are interested in what you're doing. Like vanity statistics mean nothing. And in this, like in 2026, your followers matter less than ever. So when we go back a couple of years, one of the problems we had in the industry for vendors was they would say, my content only gets seen by other vendors, that's the only people that follow me, and I want it to be seen by couples. Whereas actually now in 2026, when you implement everything Elizabeth teaches and you go for Reels, actually your content gets seen by way more people that don't even follow you in the For You feed. So a case in point, my sister, I'm very proud, my sister started her own business yesterday, and she posted a reel today, and I screenshot it because she has 30 followers, but her reel has been viewed by 900 people, right? You see, that shows you the shift in where Instagram's gone. It doesn't matter that she's got 30 followers, nearly 1,000 people saw her brand new business. So if they want to follow you and unfollow them, you let them.
I also notice on mine, you can see how many people in the insights, how many are followers and how many are not followers that follow, that like your post or whatever. There's not a way to try to get some of those, are there?
What, the ones that don't follow you?
If you just see it in the numbers, you see unfollowers, like I see like 50% of them were unfollowing me, but they saw me.
So I want to just highlight something. So it's totally normal to every single day I gain hundreds of followers, and every single day I lose hundreds of followers. That's just how it works on Instagram. So if that's happening to your account,
No,
it's
I'm just
totally
saying,
normal.
the ones that are not following me, but they're still seeing my
Yeah,
post.
that's good. That's a good thing. That's what you want.
But we can't encourage them to start following.
But if they see your content once, then it will keep coming up.
Yeah, and that's also where calls to action come in. So people are like, oh, no one's following me. And I'm like, are you asking them to? Are you saying follow, tag your account for more Insider Atlanta wedding show tips, right? Like ask for the follow. But yeah, not everyone's, so the way people are consuming the content on Instagram has really shifted. So think about how you all watch Netflix. When you're watching a show on Netflix, are you interacting with it? Are you giving it a thumbs up every time? No, you're not. You're just watching it and moving on. That's how people are consuming content on Instagram. So most people are going to be viewing and not following and not interacting, but they're still watching and they're still buying.
Right, and it shows the views.
Right. Okay. Questions? Anyone else have a question?
I have a question.
Great.
I thought I talked more.
No, you're great. Don't worry, I have mine too. I talk more than anyone, don't worry.
I'll never catch up to you.
What'd you say?
I said I'd never catch up to you.
No! All right, I'm muting myself.
I have a vendor who is also a bride, and her feedback from my last show was, she's a vendor, she owns a bridal business. She was intimidated to approach the vendors because she didn't want to be sold and she was afraid she'd get away. I'm like, you're on the other side of the table and people have paid money to be in this room with you so they can tell you what they do. And she said, no, I really want to be able to have the experience without actually having to approach the vendor.
Why are you there?
How do I do this? I don't, she's talking about providing an experience, and I'm thinking of like, I can convert some of my booths to little, selfies, fun stations or whatever, and have people put stuff in there, but they still need to talk to the photographers and taste the cake, and I just really don't know what to do with that information.
Yeah.
We live in a voyeuristic society where people love to watch other people doing things but not actually participate, yet they feel like they have participated because they watched it, which is a weird kind of system, and they ask for more experiences and whatnot, but they're not participating. Are you close to this person as a vendor? Like, could you have
Oh, absolutely.
okay. I would remind this person that you get one day to show up. This is the time. Everything good happens when you show up and you do the thing. Nothing will happen if you don't. So if she's okay with complacency of nothing changing or getting better, that's fine. That's up to her.
But I'm also trying to extrapolate that feedback because she's not the only one. This is the whole generation of 30-somethings that have bought a ticket to my show but don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So that's something I kind of think of. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, dear.
It's something that you as the bridal show producer can only do so much with, but that is good feedback for the vendors, and maybe saying to them, before the show when you're educating them on how to set up booths, giving them any kind of information like that, say it's been common feedback that some people don't just want to talk face-to-face just about the business. It's not an experience, it's not very fun, they're intimidated by you. That's definitely something that vendors can take and say, okay, well, what can I do with that feedback? Maybe make their booth more inviting. Maybe if they do have, a selfie camera, set up a little station where people can take pictures, do things like that, just to make it more casual feeling, more inviting. But that seems like something you can share with the vendors and kind of let them roll with it too.
I also have two thoughts. So there's two things that I teach vendors in training about this, because obviously I've spoken all about having an experience culture. So one thing I speak to vendors about sometimes is trying to gamify their stand. So what can they do, what can they offer on their stand that people will flock to? So I was in a shopping center recently and there was a big booth there. I think they were selling like leather bags and luggage. And they just had this big machine, and people were queuing for ages to pick out this egg from the machine, open it, and see if they won a bag. And I could not believe how many people in the shopping center were queued to do it because it was gamified. And then basically everyone got 10% off a bag, right? So it was just a sales technique. But it's interesting for the vendors to think, well, how can I make my stand somewhere people want to come and make it part of the experience? The second thing, which is the absolute opposite, which is particularly good for introverted vendors, sometimes I tell them to hide from their stand. This sounds really weird, but sometimes I say, just take a few steps away from your stand, Because people will then approach and they'll come and look at your pictures or they'll come and look at your thing, and then they've made the step, and then you kind of wander back and go, oh, can I help you? And it's less intimidating if someone's kind of away from their stand, people stop and then you come back in. So that's 2 tips I give to vendors. Depends on their personality, depends on their business, but there's a couple of things to think about.
I think it's really cool that, from a coaching standpoint, that everything that y'all take, y'all always look for how you can use it. That's really cool. I was saying that I think it's really cool. I don't know if everybody heard me.
Take the microphone.
I was giving yeah, that is kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you have a mic security guard next to you.
Anyway, I think y'all heard me. I was just giving a compliment. It's like, I'm hearing the trend is that we have to train ourselves maybe to everything that we get, you know, it sounds like BS. Maybe there's a hidden gem inside that BS somewhere. Y'all look for it. You look for it and then you say, how can I use this?
And common sense, it doesn't exist anymore. That idea, common sense is gone. So our assumption that our employees or vendors are gonna have the same opinions, mindset, facilitation that we do, throw that out the window.
I also, the other thing along those lines, are you guys done with your conversation? Yeah. Cool, don't let me interrupt you. Is like when there's, I would call it like a pain point, you call it BS, we're talking the same language. I always like to get curious, so it's easy as owners to get really defensive, right? Because we're like, this is our baby, nobody knows it better than us, I've been doing this for whatever, right? But getting curious, so with that bride who's a vendor, I would approach it without immediately trying to solve the problem. I would dig into it and be like, tell me more about that. So what makes, like, can you tell me more about what makes you feel uncomfortable? And then just, instead of assuming that we know, just ask questions to help that person share more information with you. And then you might uncover an actual very different problem that you can solve, or then you will have the information to provide a solution that is really supportive.
Yep.
Next.
I have no questions, but you go ahead.
All right, I'll do one of mine. I came prepared. It's a good thing. Okay. You had talked about, Becca, you talked about, prepping the vendors, in which I think there was a lot of really good advice on that, because I think probably a lot of us are doing it, but maybe too close to the show. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on, some people sign up a year in advance, some people sign up, a month in advance, or whatever it is, but thinking through like how best to do that so we can help our vendors. I guess it's some kind of timeline or how to prep them.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on what method you're going to deliver the training in. If it's something pre-recorded, like a private podcast we talked about, or a training course. The reason I mentioned private podcast is a lot of people now like to just listen while they're doing other things. And a private podcast is basically just someone talking in their ear. So if you had something like that pre-recorded, I would send that out right as soon as they book, when they're at that kind of like, I'm excited to find out more about the show, but I would also, depending on the system you're using, maybe have some check-ins every now and again, like, oh, we're now 6 months out from the show, hopefully you've watched this one, or like, let me know you've watched it. And then we talked earlier, Shelley, and I think it's a great idea about how you jump on a Zoom call yourself too, like a month before the show, because the other vendors like kind of talking and interacting with each other. So I don't think you want to lose that piece. I think that's actually really a powerful piece, but the training comes first. That's where you kind of discuss it and they meet each other.
I love that. And then the whole thing about experiences, I don't know if you have any other ideas of experiences that we can pass along to vendors, because I feel like that's the whole thing, that we want to make it as interactive as possible. So if y'all have any ideas or thoughts.
If you ever use Loom, L-O-O-M, you can send videos of yourself talking. If you didn't want to do a private podcast, but you wanted them to see your face and whatnot, Loom is great and it's free. I would suggest give 3 options though for that final meeting, that they can see all the dates beforehand, because you're always going to have people that can't make a certain date, but if they know the 3 beforehand that it's required, then yes, you're giving the spiel 3 times, but everyone's going to be there at different times.
To answer that question, so around experience, I'd be interested if anyone else has any idea. Again, kind of to Elizabeth's point, just need to encourage people to get curious and think outside of their box. I think, we do it in everything. We do it online, we do it on websites. We tend to look left and right and just do what everyone else is doing, and then we all look the same. And actually the most successful people are the people that just jump right out of the box. So my favorite ever stand I saw at a wedding show in London 4 or 5 years ago, and I still talk about it now, was just this wedding planner team. They just had a full bath in the middle of the wedding show, filled with like white plastic balls like you have in a ball pit. And they were just making people hop in and out of this bath. They were taking photos, and they were talking about like, you can just chill out and relax because we're gonna plan your wedding. And it was really clever on many levels because people were taking photos, the messaging was good, it stood out, it was memorable. Now, if everyone else then bought a bath the next year, it wouldn't work anymore, which is where this stuff is hard because you have to encourage people to get creative. And if they all just do the same thing, it doesn't matter. And also, they just need to lean into what they do. Like I said yesterday, we're in a creative industry, and a lot of them are creative people, and they're best when they're doing the thing they're best at. So if they're a florist, do something with flowers. If they're a cake person, do something with cake. Get curious.
Wait, when you say do something like you do, the planners would say, I don't have something to show. And you just said the bathtub thing, which is so not what they do, but it made it more entertaining.
I have one more thing I want to add to his question, which is in terms of an idea that just came to me, and I've seen it at different conferences, and I think you guys could leverage it, would be, if let's say your primary group is Gen Z, not all of them like to film content and be on social media, but a lot of them do. And so you could hire a content creator to come or be in your booth and make it more interactive, where it's like you're filming a piece of content, maybe in front of your logo like this, and that would be fantastic. And then you're sharing that with them, and you're like, tag us, tag the show. But that would be really, really fun. We could have props and have someone coaching them through that. But that would spread, couples sharing with other couples getting married, other couples getting married, and it just makes the show look really fun and hip.
Yeah.
What?
As far as
Yeah.
You still using that word? I'm missing.
As far as with the experiences, because we're trying to help Shelly because her show is very bougie and very for the elegant bride, and we're trying to get her bougie. But we do like the cake dive, and that's one of a huge hit at the shows where the brides go around the cake. I'm not going to go into that because I beat that up millions of times.
You know what? I would like for you to
What
tell
is a
me
cake
more about
dive?
that.
Can someone
cake
explain
dive,
that to the English lady?
We get a cake sponsor to donate a cake. I took a couple Hershey Kisses inside the cake, and then I get about 20 brides to surround the cake, and our good friends at Dinner for Two, Donna, especially Donna, helps me with this, with the all-inclusive trip. She provides me with an all-inclusive trip. Whoever finds a Hershey Kiss inside the cake, shoots up in the air with the Hershey Kiss, wins an all-inclusive honeymoon trip.
Making it sound all sweet and innocent, but they're
And-
making
and
it
it's-
sound
really
I mean,
but
ice flying all
He
over.
has a different market than you do. You
Yeah.
have to play to the market you have.
If she does it, she's gonna be hooked, but this is a huge, when we're asked to tell the brides, okay, we're looking for 20 brides to dive inside of a cake, stampede of brides that are like, choose me.
Tell me you have this on your Instagram.
Oh, it's on the Instagram, big
All
time.
right, let's go.
Absolutely. But I thought of another idea that I'm gonna implement. I went to the Yes Chef food festival. It's in New York, it was in LA, huge, 21-year-old kid, anyways. But the company, Nestle, had one of the busiest booths. Now obviously everybody wants coffee, but they had gumball machines, right? But in the gumball, like when you get the little toy inside the plastic cup, they had their logo, right? And people were waiting in line, and if you spun the thing, you got your little plastic container with the K-cup so that you could use that K-cup to go make your coffee. But I'm thinking, suppose we put like a QR code on the plastic or inside of one of our sponsors and got somebody to sponsor that, arena where they can get free coffee, have their logo, but everybody always wants coffee. So I'm gonna launch this in August, and I'm gonna let everybody know how it goes, but it's part of the activation. The fact that they were spinning the gumball, they had more fun just spinning the gumball and getting a little trinket that came out of there. So we'll see how it goes.
I love it. I actually saw another thing at a show that I just remembered I'm going to tell you about, which was, you know, in England we have those iconic red phone boxes that we have in London. So this show, the National Wedding Show, they had one of those phone boxes right in the middle of the show. It was all branded for the show, and it was a place you could go have your photo taken. But it said on the outside, like throughout the day, randomly, the phone will ring, and if you pick it up and say a number, you win a prize. And so again, it was really cool. So I guess someone was literally just phoning it from their mobile or whatever, being like, you won. But people were hanging around it, they were taking photos with it, the logos and everything. And again, great activation, really simple.
That sounds great. I wanted to say something about Ralph's cake dive. About 2 years ago, I heard Ralph talking about it. I decided to implement it here in Jersey, Philadelphia area. So I asked him how to do it. He gave me the script. I was nervous because I'm thinking, who's gonna get all messy? And that's crazy. So we had a very big show in South Jersey, and I'm on the line, and I'm telling people as they're waiting to come in, I'm telling people, hey, did you hear about the cake dive? You can win. You gotta get dirty. So a lot of people are saying, we had over 300 brides that stood around the stanchions that wanted to do it, and I'm there, and I have to pick 10 or 15 brides, and they're all like, pick me, like that. It was crazy. And then they dove into it, and they got very vicious. I said no eyes popped out or anything like that. It was fun, it was great. A lot of stuff on the floor. We had 3 prizes. We do it now at every show. For the last 14 shows, it's become a thing. People say, no, this is the company that does the cake dive. We want to go to that show. So it's part of the experiential thing, but I got to thank Ralph for that because it really worked out well. It's
And you know what's key there is that it's the prize that makes people do it, right? So if you said, come dive in a cake and I'll give you 15% off your wedding ring, no one would do it. But if you bought a cake out right now and asked me to dive in it for an all-inclusive holiday to the Bahamas, I'm in.
Let me tell you something game shows do real quick. So, you know when The Price is Right, when people are called down? None of that is random, right? There's a stage manager when everyone is lined up waiting at the queue, and they're interviewing each people without them knowing they're being interviewed. And they're finding the people that have big personalities, that want to do things, that are excited about certain things, and they're making note of those people, typically visually or what they're wearing. And so later in the show, it seems like it's all magic and being pulled, but we already know who's being picked. So it's something that you could do thinking about hiring a stage manager, a content creator, even in your queues to get people kind of jazzed up. And then you're gonna find those people that are gonna be your winners throughout the day that will give you the best results and get you the content that you want to.
I do. So over the years, we've always tried to find more ways or more interesting ways for people to attend the show. And so when we found out about the cake dive a few years ago, we did something similar where we just got a big bowl of whipped cream, and we just dropped 2 rings in the whipped cream. And then we just had everybody fishing in it until they found the rings. And one of our jewelry stores gave a wedding band to the bride, which was good. And that wasn't something that we advertised, but it was something that we did at the show. And for those of you who are show producers, we are very engaging with our brides. So we do a lot of wedding demonstrations, like the taking off of the garter competition, the kissing competition, where the grooms lift their brides, they literally turn them upside down, feet dangling in the air. And you can see all of these things on either YouTube or on our website, Bahamas Bridal Show. But also what we found too, and I know a lot of you don't do it, and I don't know why, is fashion shows. So we don't just do like the general runway fashion show. Like we do like theatrical performances. Like we have rehearsals every Sunday for like 6 Sundays leading up to the bridal show. And what we've learned was a lot of people, and it really helps the vendors too, because it attracts more brides. And even though it's a wedding show, what we also try to tell people is everybody can come to a show, because not only is everybody a potential bride or groom, But if you are a photographer or a cake vendor or an event planner, people need these in their everyday life. You know, like you have birthdays, you have seminars, you have all of these things. So to increase attendance in the show, we try to push those things, but more so over the fashion show is a really big thing for us because, again, it's not only showing wedding gowns and tuxedos. Like we also do formal gowns because you attend banquets. We do lingerie, we do honeymoon wear. Yeah, so those things are a big deal. And I promise you, so if you want to add a fashion show to any of your events, take a look at our fashion shows. And Tommy and I will be happy to fly down to wherever you are and do your fashion show for you. And I mean models included. We will bring everybody. So, you know, that's, yes, do you want us to come to you? Oh. No, but that's what I'm saying. So take a look at at our shows online, including our fashion shows. And that way trying to implement some of the things that we do may actually help increase the attendance of your shows and make it more interactive.
Well, I just remember when I was an early member, I was inspired by the show producers that were doing it way longer than I have. Like I remember Brad Buckles, Deborah Hanson. Their fashion show was like something out of, it was kind of like what you guys do in Vegas, theatrical, aerialists, just, I mean, it was just crazy. The Treadles, Matthew Treadle, Bruce, their fashion show was just incredible. And that used to be a thing back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Now I'm hearing a lot of producers have done away with the fashion show. And to me, that's shocking. I've never had a show without a runway show. But now, with this explosion of live events, activation, you know, in person, this is what attendees want to see. They want the experience. So I'm wondering if the members who chose not to have fashion shows anymore are going to reconsider, considering that the big thing to separate you from your competitor is to bring about an experience which should include a fashion show. And sponsors today, right? You could have a sponsor the fashion show, right? Where you're using some of those dollars towards the models. You could trade out with your hair and makeup artist. You can find a couple salons, but even have the tuxedo companies pay for a booth. But it's just something to consider.
I have to answer this, please. Can I answer this? And then we'll go back to our panel.
Oh, Canada!
Don't mean to take over for the panel, but I do have to address that because he asked the question, does this inspire show producers to host fashion shows? So I've been doing this for almost 23 years, and I've been a part of, my first conference was 3 years ago, and after that conference I said, yes, I have never done a fashion show, I am going to do fashion shows. And I hated every minute, my brides hated every minute, my vendors hated every minute. We did it for 2 seasons, and I will never do it again, because it's not an experience, it's a viewing. They are sitting in a chair watching something happen. They're not doing something. That is not an experience.
Well, I see Stacey over there raising her hand too. We might say the same thing. Okay. Well, and to each their own for sure. In my experience with doing fashion shows at the wedding shows, it kind of goes back to the question of why do I feel intimidated? This is kind of scary. Having little things in the fashion shows, like just little giveaways. One of the things we do in New Mexico is just giving out luggage tags as little freebies. The brides, the couples, everybody seems to love that because it isn't, we're not asking you to come up here, put yourself on the stage, be intimidated by anything. We're not even talking to you, but you're sitting there watching, you're getting an idea of the dresses that this store has, the tuxedos that this place has, the makeup and hair that this place can do. It is still something that's kind of interactive. It's still getting people a little bit involved, but not to the point where they're freaked out and don't want to participate at all because they're going to be put on the spot. So it's still something that the general public does enjoy, and then we try to have other events and do other things where people can get on stage and kind of promote themselves a little bit more. But that's kind of been some of the experience too. It's a little bit engaging, but not super scary.
I could get the brides to sit down and watch the fashion.
Man, my brush skate.
Okay, everyone, I love this conversation, and we can keep it going, but I want to make sure we get back to
What I did in mine, I started doing mine in 1997. And the first thing was the cake dive. It was when it first started coming out. As a matter of fact, the Food Channel picked up on it, and I was even on their wedding cake issue. But we did it after the fashion show. So when they came to the fashion show, we drew names from the registration. So every bride wanted to be in there. But we also did interactive stuff with the brides and the grooms on stage before the fashion show. And then sometimes we do something in between. At the end, the models would throw the bouquets to the bride. We'd have all the brides stand up and throw it. So it did keep it interactive.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something. Back in the day when I was doing my fashion shows, I really loved doing the fashion shows. I agree with them here because you can do lingerie, but we had a lot of fun with tuxedos and the guys in tuxedos who used to really put on a nice show while they were modeling tuxedos. Of course, they had to dance well.
Yes, of course.
You know, the girls really love that part of the fashion show because it's kind of like, it broke it up. You know, it made it interesting.
So I have a question for the rest of the panel then, since we were kind of talking about fashion shows and stuff anyway. What do you guys think about either a fashion show for something like a wedding show, or do you have any other kind of somewhat involved events, things that might not be necessarily diving into a cake, but other things that you would suggest to kind of promote, get people involved? What do you think?
I want to say something to add to all this and things that I'm hearing throughout the whole week. As somebody, as I said yesterday, 95% of my clients are queer. So not all of my weddings have a bride, not all of my weddings have a groom. Some have a groom, some do not like to label themselves at all. From what I hear from my clients, they don't feel welcome at a lot of your shows because the word bridal is on everything. And what if you're a queer man and you identify as a groom, you don't necessarily feel welcome. It's always about the dresses and this and that. I would encourage you to look at what you have, what you're showcasing, and see how you can make it more inclusive. And if we're talking about fashion shows, I better see a plus size bride up there. As a plus size woman myself, it's something that we never see in the wedding industry. So while we're using the term bride a lot, I want you to remember that we're not being inclusive enough in our industry because you're leaving a lot of cash on the table with people that want to give you your money, but they don't feel comfortable doing it.
That's a very good point, you're right.
I'd call it a wedding show. Yeah.
I hate the word bridal. I don't use the word bridal ever. On my contact form, it always says partners. Couples. I mean, our industry has not changed in that way, and whether or not you are an ally, as I am, and a supporter, or you're just somebody that values money and your business doing well, change has to happen, and you will see an uptick in yourselves because of it, I promise you.
So along those lines, with our company, when we have new couples fill out our onboarding forms, we have a place where they can share their pronouns too. And so that's a way of us being inclusive. We also have like couples first name versus bride and groom. And answering your question about experiences, so owning a dance studio, we often get hired to do line dance gigs or partner dancing. So we've done that for some wedding shows where they brought us in and they thought it would be really fun for couples to learn some social dancing together. So dancing is a great way. So line dancing, of course, I live in Colorado, so it's kind of appropriate for my region. People are like, ooh, yeehaw, let's learn some line dancing. So if that aligns with you, great. But bringing in a dance instructor could add some fun to your event.
And the final thing I'll add to kind of round it all up, and I think it kind of talks to all of you in a different way, is I think in anything, in business, you know your audience best, you know your show best, and so there is no one size fits all. So from a weekend or a week like this, you need to take the inspiration, you need to take the ideas, you need to hear what other people are doing it, and then you have to filter that through the lens of your market, your business, your team, everything like that, and then go, well, I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? But that doesn't mean it won't work for other people, that doesn't mean it will work for other people. But I guess what I just want to kind of conclude that section is to say, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way of doing anything, and the same with marketing. If you don't want to be on Instagram, you don't have to be on Instagram, but you've got to find something else to do to bring those people. If you do want to be on Instagram and go all in on it, then that can work for you. But you've got to find the thing that works for you in your market, and you will always know that better than any of us on the stage, because we're not living and breathing your market day in, day out.
No? Okay, great.
Okay, and I'm not trying to leave some of the panel out, and I'd like to include this table over here too. But I know that our biggest competitor, no, it's not ACS, it's the couch. The couch is our biggest competitor of getting them off that couch.
You mean in their own homes?
Yeah, because they're gonna sit on their couch and try to plan their wedding. They're not gonna wanna get up on that Sunday morning and, put on real clothes to come out to a show. So what can we do to get those Gen Zs, you Gen Zers, what can we do other than, we try to promote experience, you gotta be there to do it, but what can we do to fight against your plane not wanting to move?
What is the experience?
Alcohol. All the alcohol. Mic drop. Yeah.
Well, for me, I would say attack me on social media. Let me see the most popular things and probably advertise on social media, make sure it reaches me. And based on your commercial, how you advertise, then I would decide if I want to go. But once again, I had a planner for my wedding. I just woke up and I went to the wedding and I just saw everything that they did. The only thing that I did was chose my dress. So, and then referrals, especially, reviews, So in your advertising, I would say implement reviews as well. Because if we see that, okay, somebody else that's my age has given you a review on this and they're actually face to face and I can see their face and I can see them saying that this is nice, it's a good attendance and stuff like that, I would come.
Another thing I can add is that us Gen Zs, we're big on trends and seeing what's actually popular and seeing what looks good. So the average Gen Z couple, it might just be a copy and paste wedding with a little thing that makes it unique to them. So if you know what's trending in your market, like on TikTok is a way everyone can be aware of what we're looking for. So once you're in that niche and you're doing your research to market to what a Gen Z couple or wedding looks like, then you should be good to go.
And thank you. I'll jump in there. I saw something really good on social media. It was applied to buying a dress, but it was, you could buy your wedding dress online. You could say, you could plan your wedding from the couch. You can also buy sushi from a gas station. It is not the best way to go about it. So sometimes too, just marketing that. You can do that from home. You can do it completely online, but you are not gonna get the same experience. You are not gonna have the same wedding as when you come, meet people, talk to different vendors, and it doesn't even have to be all in person, but just seeing the variety, see what's available to you, that's gonna give you the best experience.
I want to add one more thing about how you highlighted trends. So on TikTok and on Instagram, I hope you all know there is a search feature. So if you're like, I often get like, how do I find trends? How do I identify these things? Instagram is now much more search engine optimized. They've been investing a lot of money in ensuring that it's more search engine optimized. So you can go into Instagram or TikTok and do research and type in your niche or your industry, or if you're curious about what's happening with Gen Z, like it's right there. It is literally, you will find it. You just have to put in a little bit of effort, but you will find it.
I also have some thoughts kind of away from social media a little bit, is that when you're marketing anything and you find a problem, we've got to kind of find a way to overcome it. And I would say you want to lean into the culture we're in and what I was talking about yesterday. So we're in a massive trust recession, and I think we're going to see that more and more over the next 12 months to 2 years, which is where there's so much AI-generated imagery, there's so many fake things, there's so many scams, people don't believe it. Okay, and so you guys have got this beautiful thing that you can go, you know, come and feel, come and see, come and touch, come and meet the person. I used to tell a story when I spoke at the wedding shows to brides about how this friend I had booked a car that she'd seen on Facebook, and it was better and better value than all the other cars she'd seen, and then on the day of the wedding a totally different, really rubbish car turned up because she'd never seen the car. Whereas a wedding show, that gives you that in-person experience, and I think post-COVID and now in this trust recession, people are craving that in-person. I want to meet the person. You need to meet the person. You need to see the dress. You need to touch and smell the flowers, because we don't believe anything that's happening online. And you can do that through storytelling, through reels, by telling stories like I just told you, and show people the value of getting out and meeting people.
I also want to say, she had mentioned testimonials. So I hope, are all of you filming vertical videos of attendees talking about your show and why they love it? Yes? Okay, good. So that's the kind of content that you can post not only during your show, but you can save those to a bank of your content bank and repurpose those testimonials every 60 days. You can post the same content, the same video over and over again. You
Just
can
making
rinse
sure
and
you're
repeat.
getting consent for that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I
would have it go into your, whatever they have to sign to come to your show. So it's not like you're trying to track people down. It would be in my, for my business, it's in our wedding contracts. It's just, it is that they're giving consent.
Well, on our tickets, when we purchase tickets, that the disclosure that their image can be used for photography or promotion.
That's it. Just make sure it says social media too.
And then the testimonials could possibly be beyond the bridal, the wedding show. It could be from actual couples at their wedding, probably saying, I got all of my vendors from the show, you know, so stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you had someone filming testimonials at your show, you could have someone who writes down their name, their information, their handle, and then it would require some follow-up, because we all know it's hard to track down those couples to have them actually share their footage with us, but you could weave that into your workflow, and that's where I would leverage direct messages on Instagram. So if you were a couple, I would reach out to you and be like, hey, I saw you post, you got your wedding up, I'm so happy for you, like, hit me back, tell me, I'm so curious, did you hire any of the vendors from the show, and like get into dialogue, oh my gosh, would you, right?
Or invite them the next year so they can actually do that in person.
Yeah. Right,
Love it.
but if they write on our survey or whatever that they booked a photographer or blah, 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 and you know that, putting that in, knowing the wedding date to follow up, to say, oh, can we share pictures from your wedding?
Yeah, and you know, Becca was talking about building systems in your business. This is a system, right? You all have a follow-up system already. You just add another lever that you're gonna pull, and then you systematize this so every time it becomes part of your workflow.
Sue, thank you. I see you, Sue. I have two comments. One on the fashion shows and one on things that you can add. A thing that we did was we worked with an ice sculptor, and we had him freeze a diamond inside of it. We put this on the stage, so this is kind of how it connects too. And they had to be present when it dropped, and they had to have guessed what time it was going to drop. I'll tell you, those people sat there all day long and watched that ice sculpture. The neat thing was, the girl that won it had it put into a necklace. Years later, she came back with that same necklace on, and she brought brides with her to the show. So we used that as a big promotion, kind of a playback of, and it worked really well.
That's huge. That's a full circle moment right there.
I'm just wondering what you would recommend for increasing vendor feedback participation. After the show, I'll send out a survey to my couples and to my vendors. The last one in particular, the vendor participation, and that was really low.
How many vendors are we talking about?
80.
Is there a possibility of you calling 80 people?
To get the feedback?
Yeah.
Have you offered any kind of incentive for them
I have
returning?
6.
Pardon me?
6 replied.
6
out of
replied.
80.
Do you have any kind of incentive? A Starbucks gift card, or something or other that you can incentivize them returning that information by a certain date?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm wondering. And I did sort of that set up for the couples. And I guess went on the assumption that the vendors would be happy to provide their feedback.
When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? They're tired too. They've been working a lot as well. They're probably feeling just like you are and are like, not another thing. So if you incentivize them somehow, and also if you have 80 people, I would say pick 10 and do random calls.
Right, okay.
Because you might actually, out of that, you might get more information out of those 10 calls and talking to someone face to face over the phone than you would with a survey.
I also find
back to the leads list. I kind of hold it that a little ransom too, and I'm like, in exchange for the I'm giving you a gift. Can you give me this? I really want your feedback. And so I kind of hold the leads list a little at ransom for that week.
I also find that if you can, in their onboarding process, if you could map it out for them. Okay, here's how this is gonna work. Before the show, X, Y, and Z. At the show, this. A day after the show, you're gonna get an email from me with a survey. Please fill that out, right? People need to hear things multiple times to know it's important. I love the incentive idea. That's definitely what I would do. And make sure you give them a firm deadline and then multiple email reminders as well. So people need to see things over and over again. And I hate to tell you, but people don't
People
like
are
to
dumb. They're
well,
dumb.
they don't want to fill out surveys and feedback. It takes a lot, right? So you have to make it I love your idea, Shelley, of kind of saying, here's.
And ask better questions. It's not just, how did the show go for you? Ask more specific questions that really can get them niche down to what they liked and didn't like.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I want to say something because I attend shows, and if they ask me a day after or even a week after, I will never give you a feedback.
Because we're already busy trying to get those brides to book, okay? The couples to book your show. So if you do it, if normally it takes no more than a week to actually close the deal. If you do it after that week, you'll get more response. And with the incentive, of course, but you have to wait because you are not a priority at that moment. For somebody that already spent that money and is coming back tired, exhausted, and has to follow up with whatever leads we have. So I wouldn't recommend right after. Just my.
All right, why don't we take, you have a question?
What I do, because I have a 2-day show, I take the last hour after the show's over and I give them a paper feedback survey and 2 drink tickets. So they can stick around for an hour.
You incentivize.
Right, unfortunately I have to buy all my drinks from the convention center, so it's expensive for me if they stick around, but it's also face-to-face feedback
They
during
get the
time.
drink tickets whether they fill it out or not.
They have to, yes, I mean, but if they're coming.
Turn it in and get your 2 drink tickets.
But I'm right there, or if you don't turn it in, but you talk to me. Now, we've still got one more day of the show, but I'm still getting valuable feedback from them. Okay.
Has anyone ever done a password in a timeline or any of the information that you send out to your vendors?
You mean to make sure they read it? Is
Yeah.
what's going on with?
Yeah. In all my timelines to my vendors, I hide a specific sentence that's applicable to that event. And when I get a response back that's like, hey, got it, instead of whatever my quirky phrase was, I know that person didn't read it. And I flag that of, do I want to work with this person again?
You're saying, if you get to the bottom of this, say the word.
Yeah, you have to respond back to me with this phrase, and the people that don't, I know that they're not the ones that are reading it. So when they come to me saying, what time is this starting? I go, you must have read the timeline.
Ladies, I think I may have missed something during the conferences. I've been busy a lot. Could you tell me what's the best form of communication through advertising to attract people to your show? Like we use television, newspaper, billboards. What is the most effective way of attracting an audience to your show?
How long's a piece of string? Okay, let's go back to Marketing 101. Where are the people hanging out that you want to attract to your show? That's the first thing. So if you don't know where they're spending time, then we don't know where to market to them. Also, what's worked for you in the past, do that again. And then look at the new things. Look at the new things, new places you could reach new people, which we talked about yesterday. Any thoughts?
It's a big question. Yeah, so in terms of marketing, I think what I want to say about this piece is I was talking to some people out in the hall about a lot of businesses tend to panic when it comes to marketing, and then they just throw a lot of money into ads with no strategy. I don't recommend that. My philosophy is, of course, my expertise is social media marketing, so that's what I'm going to tell you to do is go beyond social media. But my philosophy around that is becoming masterful at creating organic content, meaning no paid ads, that performs really well, because it's going to take time to find your messaging and the type of content that's going to resonate with your ideal client or customer. Like we heard the Gen Z people over here saying like, show us on social media. Like that was her first thing she said. Like, how do you want me to find your show? I want to see you on my social media feed, right? So, as Becca just said, you want to market where your ideal clients are hanging out, and for the wedding industry, that is 100% social media. So, yeah.
The other thing is I'd question to all of you in this room, and I'd love to know the answer to this. If we were working one-to-one together, I would be saying to you, how often are you looking at your marketing data? Like, do you reflect on it every month, every quarter? If I was consulting with you in your show, we would sit down together and I would basically spend the first half an hour asking you every question. Where are most of your couples coming from? What's your Google Analytics telling me? How many people are coming from social media? What's your engagement? And if you're not looking at that data yourselves, then you can't make smart marketing decisions. And a lot of people in the wedding industry make decisions on marketing based on how they feel rather than what the facts tell them. And so just because something's shiny and new and exciting doesn't mean we should do it. We need to look at what's actually working and then make smart decisions.
That's true, because when I look at my Google Analytics for my business, I can see the exact percentage of traffic to my website, which I own, right? I don't own my social media, but I can track like where it's coming from. I can see how much is coming from Instagram. I can see what's coming from TikTok, and then as well as my onboarding forms. I know exactly where people are finding me, so I know where to invest my time, energy, and resources. So it's not guessing, it's strategy.
I was gonna talk about all the show producers need the website because it's where they can have the data. How can they make it more attractive and more tied to
social media? Is Gen Z's media communication, but you want them on the website. You want them that's the main tool for us show producers. How do you attract more people to the website? How do you recommend
I mean, some people are just skipping websites altogether now. So on your social media, if you don't have some kind of banner that comes up saying buy tickets now, something that's incentivizing them to come, websites unfortunately are now secondary to a lot of things. So I think you could have the best website in the world, but it might not be working for you like you need it to work for you. So I would make sure that your social media has ways for your clients to buy tickets as well. That's going to be your bigger hook. Gen Z? Agreed. I like that you're just Gen Z now. You're just like this entity that I'm going to fall to.
You represent all of Gen Z, no pressure.
Becca, did you want to add something?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of comes back to what I was saying yesterday about building your house upon the rock. Like, the website is still going to be the rock, because we don't own our social media. If you build, we know that social media is absolutely important, we want to have all of the links, but social media is owned by someone else. And tomorrow Meta could just go, nah, you're not on Instagram anymore, sorry. and you can't do anything about it. Whereas at least your website, your email list, that's stuff you own. So just don't make the mistake of thinking, I'm gonna build over here, because that sand can pull you down. You need to build in both places, and also give people a reason to come to your website from your social media. Like if it's to buy your tickets, is it to read more information? Like if you want them to come to your site from socials, there's gotta be a reason, like a compelling reason.
Yeah, so why do you want them to come to your website? Why do I need to do that?
Look at the vendors.
To buy tickets.
Buy tickets, vendor directory,
Okay.
galleries, all kinds of things.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think of the bridge because we know the social is so important, right?
Can't it be in your DM the way you want to do the audit? It can be a link to buy tickets on the website from your in your DM. Or it could be the link to get more information.
Along this line, I have a question about pain points. How many times can I realistically ask them to click before they go, too much work, and walk away? Because if they're clicking on a social media post, and it's taking them to a website, and then they gotta click the button to get tickets, like at what point is it too much work? Because I know, like, if I'm asked to do a survey, I want
The survey line across the bottom telling me how long this is gonna take. And do you know, or can you guess? What is the?
So I feel like social media allows you, so in your website, you have different links to different pages or different things that your website offers. So let's just say you want to advertise your tickets. I would not have my link directed to my homepage on my website, because as soon as my Gen Z self gets onto your website, I'm going to exit because the ticket that I came for is not visible. So if that actual link is attached to that banner pop-up ad or that social media ad that comes across, as soon as I click it, I don't even leave social media. The link opens up in the app to that page. So I literally never left Instagram, but I purchased my ticket right there through that link. So it's just directing that. It doesn't have to be instant. They make it instant for you once you direct it to that actual page.
So people don't want to hunt for the links. That's what we're getting at, right? So the whole point of using Instagram is to warm up your audience. So I'm learning about your vendors. So you're used to doing all that on your websites, right? All that is great to have a home base, like Becca said, but showcasing the vendor, showcasing why they want to come, all of that. I just need that. Your social media should warm me up so I'm ready to buy. You're using DM automation. The link is now in my direct messages. I click it and it takes me straight to where I can purchase your tickets. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean that no one's ever going to visit your website, but
They do want it instantly because they're standing in line at the grocery store, they're sitting on the toilet, they're doing the things that they want to click it so fast. It's crazy.
And if they,
So I'm sorry, it was kind of two parts. One, yesterday, Elizabeth, you talked about click here, get the email address, and I'll send you the ticket link. Is that asking them to do
Too many things as opposed to just giving them the ticket link. So that's the first part. And then the second part is, does it have to be an instant checkout? Does it have to be click here, I got my tickets? Or can I ask you some questions? Can I say, do you have your wedding venue booked? Can I ask, or does everything have to be after the ticket purchase? Do I have to put it in an Amazon cart with buy it now?
So from a marketing perspective, if you think about it, the more steps there are, you'll lose people at every stage. So if you start with 10 on the first click, the more clicks they go, you'll lose more people. So ideally you want as few clicks as possible. Again, I use another example on stage about bank cards. If you go to buy something online, if you're like me now, if I go to buy something online and I have to get out of my seat, walk to my bag, find a card, go back to my seat and type in the numbers, you've lost me. I want to go and Apple Pay. So I'd be looking at when you're selling your tickets, can people pay on Apple Pay? Do they have to get out of their seats and buy? Because I won't. I won't get out of my seat anymore. I want to just go.
So I think maybe the nuance of your question in terms of what I taught yesterday is, remember how I said build like 3 funnels, right? So some people might be curious, but not quite ready to buy. So those people you might magnetize with a lead magnet or something. And in exchange for their name and email, they get on your email list, and then maybe they buy from your email list. So that could be one funnel. Another funnel could just be for people who are ready to buy a ticket. You don't need to ask me any questions, I just need to buy the ticket. Maybe the questions come after the purchase, like an onboarding form or something like that. So that's where I want you to just think about, like, what are the different ways in which people want to interact with you, and that will determine how you build out your funnel. Is that?
I love and appreciate that. My question was, what are the ways that they want to interact? What is the, do you want funnels?
Gen Z?
Or do you just want to like that?
I think we don't mind engaging, it just has to, like you said, very short, straight to the point, ask me what you think, I would want to know. And let me answer that. And then two, I like how you said compartmentalize it in a way, whereas if this link or this specific post or ad is for the ticket, let it be that. If this post is now to get to know the vendors, let it be that. So let those be compartmentalized, whereas maybe this week we're focusing on getting ticket sales. Then this week we're focusing on getting people to know about the event. What are they purchasing? Stuff like that.
And I know you mentioned, like, should I just send them the link directly, or what is the point of having them, type in a keyword, it getting sent to their DMs, whatever. I do know that you'll lose people leaving the app. So if you have to check your email inbox to get the link, they're not gonna do it. But if you just swipe over to your direct messages while you're already in Instagram, that's way easier. Some people, if they're really lazy, they might not do it, but if it's right there, it already came to them, they're gonna click on that.
But they have to be my follower in order to get my DM.
No, they don't. They don't. But you can set up your DM automation where, let's say you want to send them something, like the link or whatever it is. You can say, hey, thanks so much for your comment. Excited to share more ticket information. First, I can send that over, but first, give me a follow, or make sure you're following the show to get the link. They tap, I'm following you, and the automation knows if they're following or not. So you can actually set up automations to drive followers up, but you don't have